folks, good morning. I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining me. It is December 8th, 2024. A lot has happened overnight. I was watching the fall of the Syrian government. Israel has gone in and bombed the chemical weapon areas in Syria. Assad is missing. There's a lot of speculation that maybe his plane crashed. I don't know. Rebels and civilians both have gone in and raided the palace, invaded the banks of Syria, taken the money and other goods. And the doors of the prisons have been opened now. Yeah, this is prophetic. Are we going to see the downfall of Damascus where no stone is left on top of the other? I don't know. We'll just have to keep an eye on this. A coalition of Syrian rebels has toppled the government of President Bashar al-Assad and captured the Syrian capital of Damascus. Bashar al-Assad, who was Syrian's president for over 2 decades and inherited the post from his father, Hafez al-Assad, has left the country and given orders for a peaceful transition of power. That is according to Russia, a close ally of the regime. They did not say where Assad is now. Evidently, his wife and family and children left the day before, going to Russia, possibly Moscow. The airport there in Damascus, I heard, was shut down because the rebels have also taken that site. That was late last night. Scenes of celebration broke out in Damascus after rebels claimed victory in a 13-year civil war. And in less than 2 weeks, the rebel group had advanced across Syria, taking the cities of Aleppo and Homs before seizing Damascus. I reported about those captures. Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or the abbreviations HTS, which led the assault along with other groups, has historic ties to Al-Qaeda and is designated as a terrorist organization by the United States and the United Nations. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced today that the IDF had seized control of a UN-patrolled buffer zone separating the Israeli-occupied portion and the Syrian-controlled area of the Golan Heights. Netanyahu said a 1974 agreement that established the zone of separation between the two countries had collapsed after Syrian soldiers abandoned their positions. We are acting first and foremost to protect our border, Benjamin Netanyahu said. We will not allow any hostile forces to establish itself on our borders. The Times of Israel has reported Syrian sources are saying Assad may have been killed in a plane crash during an escape yesterday, late last night. Here you can see the Syrian plane took off from Damascus airport around the time the capital was reportedly to have been taken by Syrian rebels. According to data from Flight Radar website, it is suggesting the ousted President Bashar al-Assad may have been on board. The aircraft initially flew towards Syria coastal region, a stronghold of Assad's Al-Wati sect, but then made an abrupt U-turn and flew in the opposite direction for a few minutes before disappearing off the map. And you'll see that right here. Right there is where it evidently disappeared. Yeah, very strange. Now, it has not been confirmed, but 2 Syrian sources say there is a very high probability that Assad may have been killed in a plane crash, as it was a mystery why the plane took a surprise U-turn and disappeared off the map. Israeli forces seized Golan buffer zone. They bombed the chemical weapon plant as rebel seized control of the area. They don't want these rebels to get the chemical weapons. That would be devastating. The Israeli army emphasized Sunday today that the IDF will not intervene in the Syrian civil war, but added that rebel forces must not enter the demilitarized zone. The IDF Northern Command has been placed on elevated alert over possible attacks by rebel forces. In addition, Syria media outlets reported that the Israeli Air Force has struck multiple targets in Syria, including arms factory and weapon caches. Israeli Diaspora Minister Amachi Chichira, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, of the ruling Likud Party called on the government to take full control over the DMZ and establish a new line of defense along the Syrian border. The events in Syria are far from being a cause for celebration, Chiki tweeted on Sunday morning. Despite the rebranding of HTS, Chiki continued, referencing a Sunni Islamic rebel army and its leader, Ahmad al-Shahar, the bottom line is the most of Syria is now under control of the affiliates of Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Now they're saying that the good news is a strengthening of the Kurds and the expansion of their control in the northeast of the country. Operationally, Israel must renew its control at the peak of the Mount of Hermon and establish a new line of defense based on the 1974 ceasefire line. We must not allow the jihadists to establish themselves near the settlements, it was said. Syria countlessly had fired missiles to the Golan, Syria, and it also allowed weapons from Iran to be transferred to Hezbollah. There is a reason why Israel has airstrike Damascus and major places in Assad's territory, it has been said. President Vladimir Putin, who helped Assad to stay in power when Moscow intervened in Syria's civil war in 2015, has yet to comment on the recent events. Yeah, I went through the news, couldn't find anything other than what was posted yesterday. Senator Konstantin Kozychek said the main priority for Moscow is to ensure the safety of Russian citizens in Syria. If the Syrian people continue to require our support, it will be provided. However, it is unlikely to extend to the conditions of a full-scale civil war. Syrians will have to handle that on their own, Kozychek said. For us as Russians, the primary task is to ensure the safety of our compatriots and civilians, including diplomats and their families, as well as, of course, the military personnel who are there for the sake of Syria, Kozychek said, also referring to personnel at the Russian military bases in Syria. Russia has two strategically important military facilities, one in Tartus and Kemian, which are used as repair hubs, supposedly, and staging posts to transfer its military contractors in and out of Africa. I don't believe that for a second. The Russian Foreign Ministry said Sunday that Russian military bases in Syria are on heightened combat readiness. Yeah, Golani, I believe it is, HTS. He is now known as the Nusra Front. He captured Aleppo just over a week ago and now Damascus. Golani featured prominently, sending messages and videos aimed at reassuring Syrian minorities who have long feared the jihadists. The future is ours, he said in a statement read on Syrian state TV, urging his fighters not to harm those who drop arms. The so-called rebels who freed Syria began their mission with looting of the Syrian central bank in Damascus, and they were joined by citizens. Allegedly, the stolen money was taken from Assad's family holdings. Like Libya, Syrian central bank was state-owned and not under the control of the Rothschild family. I think there's going to be a power vacuum. Yeah, it's going to signal dark days ahead for the nation. Yeah, how are they going to rebuild the country? Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu hailed the fall of Bashar Assad regime in Syria on Sunday and argued that it was a direct result of Israeli attacks on Iran and Hezbollah. Well, I think they also had the help from the CIA. Yeah, so who's going to fill the void? What's going to happen to the other religions, the Jews, the Christians, those who are not Muslim? What's going to happen to those people? So what are your thoughts? Put your comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.